If I could send a message to young people, I would say to hold the faith and to know that what you are doing is going to have an impact. I think the most harmful idea is that we are too small to be able to create change in this world.
My activism work centers around menstrual equity. I provide free menstrual products on campus for those who need it.
I'm the founder and president of PRISM. We're an LGBT nonprofit organization that works to expand access to LGBT inclusive education and sexual health resources for youth in South Florida.
Yeah, so I got involved with Know Your Nine because I am a student and a survivor myself, and I was looking for an organization that was dedicated towards taking actionable steps towards change.
I work at AIN, which is Access Information Network, over in Dallas, Texas. And like I said, we specialize in nothing but newly diagnosed HIV patients, and along with, like I said, nutrition and clothes and everything else that they need. We actually have a social group that I started called Coffee and Conversation with Carmela. I make sure that they feel comfortable enough to have that, one-on-one conversation with me, even if they don't want to have it with a group of people.
When I was 8 years old, I came to Washington, D.C., and I actually met John Lewis, Congressman John Lewis. I said to him, "Thank you so much for all the activism that you've done, and I can't wait to grow up and be like you." He said, "Activism starts now, and there's no minimum age to make an impact," and that stuck with me.
I got interested in advocacy and activist work in general, mainly because I've seen firsthand marginalized communities suffer. I've seen oppression, and I've seen how it takes a lot of young people working hard in their local communities, but also with community organizations across the country and even in other countries to make change.
I wanted to be a part of Y Walk for RJ because I knew that reproductive justice was something very personal to Black women's legacy in this country. And I noticed that a lot of the really great work that was inspiring me back home was being done by folks who were doing work in reproductive justice, reproductive rights and advocacy.
So in Indiana, it feels very hostile right now with abortion access. Doing activism right now feels very radical because I feel like I'm edging more and more towards the fringe of reproductive rights, the fight for it. So it feels very radical. It feels good though, because it's something I'm passionate about. So it's something that I feel very strongly about it, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that access remains a thing.
One of the biggest lessons I've learned from being in Advocates for Youth is the power of storytelling. So I've learned that activism really is, for me at least, telling a story and using that story to bring awareness to an issue that a certain group faces, whether that's using that story to empower a marginalized group by creating community.
Advocates for Youth has given me a lot in many ways. It's educated me, it's made me feel supported, it's amplified what I can do as an activist. It's given me an awesome toolkit. I've met other young people across the country who really are passionate about making change, and I just think it's so cool to be a part of something like this for many reasons.
One of the things that has impacted me the most is that Advocates for Youth is part of what got me specifically into work with school boards. I had already just started testifying in front of legislative hearings about the Don't Say LGBT law in the state of Florida, but it was Advocates for Youth that reached out to me and said, "Hey, the school district just south of you in Miami-Dade is talking about approving a sex ed textbook, and it's looking a little tenuous." So They provided me with information and strategies for crafting testimony and for showing up and showing out in those spaces. And that's a big core component of the work that I do now, and also has become a big component of the work that PRISM as a whole does now as well.
Something that I feel like I have learned while working with Advocates for Youth is understanding that organizing is really a science, and it really does come with a lot of tangible skills that you can learn and that you can develop and that you can build upon. And Advocates for Youth has really shown me that organizing, it's a way of life, and it goes much deeper than I think people even could imagine.
The biggest thing I want for young people is for us to be seen as experts in our experience. Right now, a lot of older people, a lot of elected officials are making decisions on behalf of young people without ever consulting us to know what is it to truly be a young person growing up in today's day and age. And what I want for my generation is for those elected officials to see us as experts in our own experience, because we're the only ones that knows what it means to grow up as a young Black teenager, as a queer individual in today's society.
I've heard a lot of talk about like young people, they're like this small group that are just really noisy and like they're just kids, they're complaining, they don't have any real like policy recommendations, and they're not really rooted in anything substantial. That is the furthest from the truth it could possibly be. When you're young, you're the most idealistic you're going to be, you have the most organizing power, and you're the most energized. If anything, we should be looking towards young people more than ever.
The young people of this generation, we are angry. We're willing to devote our lives to the greater good of the world because our futures are on the line. People who are in government right now might not be around in 50 years, but like we'll be here. So we are willing to fight tooth and nail for our futures.
Young people are resilient and knowledgeable. They're young, but that doesn't mean that we don't understand what is truly going on in the world right now.
Young people are here and we're ready to fight. You better listen to us, because eventually we're gonna kick you out, and that's gonna be us one day.